on Fantasy Football. Back with another video for you guys today. Tell them what we're getting into, Nikki.
All right, so today we are going over our top free agent running backs and their landing spots. One, where we want them to go, which is probably best for fantasy, and then two, what their best NFL fit would be in our opinion. So you want to start us off with the first one?
Sure, and it's a crazy free agent class all across the board, even non-fantasy players like, the DBs and things like that. Obviously, we're only going to go into fantasy players when we're talking about them, so we're going to do running backs. Pretty decent class here. So first guy we're going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about is Saquon Barkley. For me, I had him for fantasy purposes. I had him going to the Cowboys. Maybe slight bias as well there too. And then for real life, I see him fitting in with the Ravens actually. So yeah. Do you want to say yours?
Yeah, so I had Saquon. I think fantasy he would be best with the Chargers. And I think in real life, I've heard reports of him going to the Chargers. I think that would be a good fit, or the Texans, I think would be a good fit.
Sure. Yeah. So for reason I said for the Cowboys is I think just a back that can do it all is good for them. And then it's a high-powered offense. It's one of the top offenses. He's the number one running back, if you ask me, available right now. So that would just kind of go hand in hand. Dak doesn't move as much as he used to. He did a little more this last year, but not a ton. So having someone that they can hand off or check down to, I think would be big for them. And then the real life fit with the Ravens, I think it'll just take a lot of pressure off of Lamar having to rush. I know he's going to use his legs. It's obviously something they should use. But having an option to check down, he's strong. I mean, he's a complete back. So I think he would just be really good in that Ravens scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I don't hate the fit at all there. I went with the Chargers, fantasy wise, just because Chargers have been used to an Austin Eckler, where he can get it done in the goal line. He can catch passes as well. Saquon has the talent to do it all as well. I think he can actually elevate compared to what Austin Eckler has done, especially this past year with new coach Jim Harbaugh. I think he really wants a good running back talent that can take most of the workload. He's an older style coach. I know recently NFL has been getting towards doing more of a committee style approach, but I think Jim Harbaugh really wants to have his bell cow, have one guy that can do most of the work and then maybe relieve him every once in a while. So I like him there. Also, the Texans, it would be really good to help out CJ Stroud with someone that can catch passes as well as take pressure off in the running game, get that going. So I think he'd be a really good fit there as well.
Uh, yeah, I mean, he's like super Austin Eckler. So he would be really easy to kind of plug and play in that situation. And I think it would work well for both teams. So, yeah, good one there. Let's go to the next guy then. If that's all we got to say about that.
Yeah. So next guy we're going with Josh Jacobs. Personally, I think fantasy wise, he would be best at the Texans as well. And in NFL, I think he would fit with going back to the Raiders, or honestly, the Bears really need to get that ground game going. What do you got?
That because for fantasy, I said the Raiders. Just going back to the Raiders, it seems like they're run heavy, with the new coach, and they kind of want to lean into that. So I think, and he's proven obviously he can do it, and with that team, be a top running back. So I think if their offense kind of picks up a little bit this year, then that could be a great fantasy piece. And I do agree with you on the real team. I have the Bears. They're going to get a new franchise quarterback in, so even to jumpstart their offense further, it makes sense to get a good, running back mate with them. He can handle a lot of the goal line work. He's strong. He's not the elite pass catcher, but he can catch passes for sure. Yeah, so I think he'd be a good fit there with what they're trying to build.
Absolutely. Same reasons for me is why I think he fits with the Raiders and the Bears. Reason why I said the Texans fantasy wise, I just think overall it's going to be a better offense. He's going to have more goal line work there. Um, Kind of like I was talking with Saquon, they really could use a piece that can do it in the passing game and the running game. Probably doesn't need to catch as many passes because CJ Stroud is a budding superstar, and that offense moves pretty well. Um, but definitely he would solidify that run game, and I think he'd get so many goal line touches it would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And at this point, I kind of want to put a little disclaimer. I personally on mine, I try to avoid doubling up on teams as much as I could. So some fits, man, for fantasy, I mean, the Cowboys and the Ravens are going to be good for everybody. It's going to boost their value. But just kind of keep more interesting. I try to give everyone a different team. So just going to throw that out there. But we'll get into the next guy now. We got Tony Pollard. Should be one of the cheaper running backs I'm expecting. So for fantasy purposes, I actually put him with the Chargers. Just because he can do a lot of the things that Austin Eckler can do, as far as catching and running. It's not going to be as good in the red zone from what I saw last year.
Awful.
But Chargers don't have a lot of money to spend, and it would be easier to maneuver to get a guy like that. And then his real life fit, I put either returning to the Cowboys or going to the Vikings. So kind of the wild card there was the Vikings, but I'll let you get into that. Let you get yours off.
Yeah, I don't hate the fits there. For fantasy purposes, I put the Eagles or the Ravens. I think both of those would be a good spot, as he's a big playmaker. Uh, as we saw, not too great around the goal line, but with the Ravens and the Eagles, they have a quarterback threat as well. So it kind of takes a little pressure off him. And I think NFL fit, I think the Eagles would be probably his best fit. He's probably going to get a cheaper deal this year. Didn't look great around the goal line last year as the sole guy there. And Eagles don't like to pay running backs. They like to do more of a committee. So I could see that working really well out for Tony Pollard there.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And the reason I said Cowboys is one of my teams is just it's a familiar fit. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention another guy, Zeke Elliott. I would want them. He's a free agent too, and we're not going to get in
Yeah.
depth with him. So I think the pairing of them worked really well. I don't know why Jerry didn't bring Zeke back. It wouldn't have cost that much. So if they do that this year, I think that would be way more successful. They definitely need another back paired with them if they're going to bring Tony Pollard back, I say. But the Vikings, I just think I kind of put this with in mind with Kirk Cousins coming back. Just someone that can catch passes would be good just to take pressure off him. He's not a big rusher, and he's going to be even less coming off of his injury. So if he does come back, I think it would help him just a little bit. So that's why I wanted him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that thought process. That is why getting into our next guy, I put Austin Eckler. His fantasy and NFL fit is actually the Minnesota Vikings for me. That's one of his teams, and then the Eagles as well. Maybe another cheap deal there. Um, but yeah, what did you have for Austin Eckler?
I put his fantasy fit for the Eagles, and then his real life I put for the Texans. So for the Eagles, I just think a dynamic back, can help. They lost Jason Kelsey, so the tush push might not be as readily available for them. So just someone that can get it done in different ways, I think will help them out. And then the real life fit for Texans, main reason that kind of came to my mind is obviously Stroud's a baller, but not the most mobile guy, and he has great chemistry with the guys downfield, so he usually can get it down there. But it wouldn't hurt to have another option for a check down. And Austin Eckler is one of the best pass catchers, if not the best pass catcher running back available in this class right now. So just him having that option and being part of that high-powered offense, I think would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that a lot. We agree on the Eagles. Just going to be a cheap contract either way. He's not what he once was, but he can definitely take pressure off Jalen Hurts, keep that offense and the chains moving for them. As far as the Vikings, I like what you were saying about taking pressure off Kirk Cousins, one of the best pass catchers we have available, and they won't have to spend too much money. I know they have Jay Jettas. If they re-sign Kirk, that's going to be more money. Jordan Addison's coming up. They have other players that they probably should focus on signing, and this will be a nice, short, cheap deal for them.
I do like the Vikings pick a lot. If I were to, not try to heavily as avoid doing double that, I definitely would have put the Vikings there as well too. So cool. Well, last guy, went a little spicier with, I think. for fantasy, I actually said the Dolphins.
Four.
And for real life, I said the Cowboys. And the reason I
And
said
this is for Derrick Henry.
Henry, did I not say that?
Yes. No, you didn't.
Oh,
You didn't.
this is for somebody who figure it out. No, this is for Derrick Henry. I said
Okay.
that the Dolphins, and the reason I said that is Mostert's actually older than him. Than Derrick Henry has a longer injury
Right.
history. By cutting him, they'd have less than $1 million. I think it's like 600,000 worth of dead money, and they'd actually save 2.7 million doing it. So yeah, I think they could arrange it, and then him paired with Achan, just different type of backs. I think that would take a lot of pressure off him, because he has a lot of miles on those legs right now. Take a lot of pressure off him, be a part of a high-powered offense, he'd be in scoring position all the time. Yeah, just think it kind of fit there.
Yeah.
And then my real life, I went with the Cowboys. He's a guy from Texas, so I mean, definitely a pipeline, there. And then, but I would want him paired with another free agent or a draft, but other free agents, someone like Swift or Zach Moss, to where they have more of a speed and catching back, ability, just to kind of to pair them together, like I said, like Zeke and Pollard were back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I like what you said about Miami. It worked really well with the Thunder and Lightning of Mostert and Achan. Why not Derrick Henry and Achan? But with Derrick Henry for fantasy purposes, I did put your Cowboys. I think with that great offense, they saw what happened with Tony Pollard when they don't have that goal line back. He got stuffed multiple times this year, couldn't find the end zone. I think getting a big guy like Derrick Henry that can push it in and a halfback dive from like 5 yards out. I think they really need that, and they're going to look for that this year. So that's my fantasy foot. And NFL, I put the easy route. I went with the Ravens. I've been hearing it all off season about Derrick Henry to the Ravens. They need a good running back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But I think either way, wherever he goes, he needs to be paired with someone that can take some of that workload off. Like you said, he is getting older. He's getting up there in age. I don't know how much longer he'll be able to hold up health-wise. Hopefully a few more years, but I don't see that being very likely. So wherever he goes, I think he gets paired with someone like a more electric type back.
Yeah, and Ravens are good at doing that, having multiple running backs with kind of, either different styles or just, even just fresh legs to have out there. Great, but one of the best run systems that you can ask to be in the league, top 2, 3 for sure. Yeah, so I think Derrick Henry, that'd be really good for him, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's kind of
Yeah.
all the guys that we really mainly touched on. Is there anyone else that you wanted to just throw out there that you think might have a good fit somewhere? Or, I know it's kind of putting a lot of pressure on you on the spot. We didn't plan for this.
Yeah. I mean, I will be excited to see where Zach Moss goes. I think
Yeah.
if you pair him with, say, an Austin Eckler or Tony Pollard on the Eagles, I think that would be a good Thunder and Lightning. Take pressure off of him. He obviously did really well on the Colts, filling in for Jonathan Taylor this year. I think the Eagles would be a great fit for him as a complement to someone else.
Yeah, and Swift is someone we originally were planning on talking about, but I just don't think he has enough juice left to be that notable. I think he should go somewhere as a secondary back. I think that's kind of where he is right now, but still quick guy, still can a great pass catcher. So I think I like him as a second running back wherever he does go instead of a RB1.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, that's what we got for today. We're planning on doing receivers and quarterbacks, tight ends, either bundled or separate. We're still kind of talking out what would be the best way for that. But look forward to that. We'll be doing the same kind of format here. But it's been Big Town Fantasy Football once again. Thank you for stopping in. Zach, Nick, have a good one.
Thanks for watching.